Hello, and welcome back to the Ship of Thesis and the continuation of our Crusader Kings 3 tutorial series, specifically focusing kind of in a little bit of a mini-series at this point on succession, which is a fundamental concept to Crusader Kings 3. If you haven't watched the two previous videos that are part of this tutorial series, please go back and do so, because it will kind of make the rest of this make sense. I'm going to kind of launch back into direct examples, and I've already done a fair bit of explaining, trying to keep these videos to about 15 minutes, which is why I've split them up in this way. So, I'll put a little bit of a link so you can go back and watch those, but without any further ado, let's continue. So, in the last video, we talked about having the highest level title as possible. So you can see here, I've actually manufactured a new scenario here where we've actually got 3 kingdom level titles. So in this scenario, what do you think is going to happen when we've got 3 sons and we are going to split? We're going to split upon killing this character off here. Now, before we do the split, I am going to draw your attention to something that you can maybe see inside of these titles. So a very special topic just for this video is the idea of title succession law. So inside these title shields here, you can see a little kind of parchment, and that's letting us know that this particular title has had a special law applied to it. So both the Kingdom of England, which we've granted to ourselves, and both the Kingdom of France have a special law actually tied to them, which means they'll kind of supersede your normal succession law. So in this scenario, the Kingdom of Ireland doesn't. That's just going to follow its usual succession, and it is our primary title. So if we click on there, we can see it's currently our primary title. It'll tell you here your title. It should tell us it's primary. I thought it would tell us it's primary in there, but it is our primary title, I assure you. If instead we click on the Kingdom of England, you can see that we have the option to make primary. Now this is important, remember, because when you have succession, you always, under all the succession types, no matter what, you always keep your primary title. So keeping your primary title is good. You still might want to do away with the law that's on there. So if you inherit some land, or you conquer it, or you obtain it in some way, you might want to remove the law, like currently Saxon elective, and you might want to remove it because something like this can happen. So what we're going to do is, ordinarily, after the last video, what we've explained, you might be thinking, when I kill this character, what should happen is it should go through and try and give each son, because they're the only ones who are eligible to currently inherit, an equal slice of the pie, as it were. And because we have 3 kingdoms of equal rank, literally kingdoms of equal rank, then it will try and give each son a kingdom each, right? Not quite. Let's see what happens. Let's kill this character. Okay, so notice, for a start, it says Ireland, England, France, right? So they have all split from us. So I guess technically, yes, the kingdom did split. But what of our dynasty? What happened there? Because at the end of the day, this game is about the dynasty. Sometimes having a kingdom somewhere else in the world that's got your bloodline on it is frankly good enough. Or at least it's advantageous in its own way. You can form alliances and things that way. So what's happened here is Ireland went to us. It was our primary title. All's grand. Everything stayed together. It tried to keep all of our counties together for us, and it did. It kept everything sensible and all is well. France. Now, France had a title succession law, and the succession law was male only. That's fine, because we had a half-brother. He's male, so he was able to succeed. So he's of our dynasty, so at least there's our blood on the French throne now. We don't directly control it anymore, but at least our bloodline is on there, and that actually leads to renown. The more higher ranking titles your dynasty holds around the world, the better it is for your renown. In fact, we should be able to see that if we hover over here. You can see we have 19 living members, and we have 2 kings. You say, 2 kings? That doesn't make sense. You had 3 kingdoms. Well, what happened in England? Who's this guy? Well, this guy is not of our dynasty. What the hell is he doing here? Well, he's here because if you look at England, the title of England has a different succession law applied to it. The title succession law will be inherited according to the Kingdom of England's male preference Saxon elective law. So what the hell is that? Well, essentially, a title law allows you to supersede the usual requirements for succession. So we could do that by clicking on the Kingdom of Ireland here, and we're going to click on Add Laws, and you can see there's a whole bunch of laws here that appears. One of them is Saxon elective. Now, you have to pay prestige to apply these laws, and each of them do different things. And you can pretty much rule these. You can read these to see what they do. So you can see here, feudal elective. Vassal swearing title allegiance opinion is +10, so it makes their vassals like us a bit more. The ruler and all direct de jure vassals of 1 or 2 ranks below the title may nominate a title heir from amongst themselves and the close family of the ruler. So if you have this on a title, you might not get the heir you want. It might not even be of your dynasty. Now, I guess there's some scenarios where that might be better, but generally it's not. As long as this is happening on a lower title than yours, that's grand. At least it stays within your kingdom. But if it's a top-level title, like a kingdom, this would be really bad, right? We just lost all of England, and it's not even one of our dynasty members that's on the throne. Saxon elective. The ruler and all direct adult de jure vassals of 1 or 2 ranks below can nominate a title heir from the most powerful vassals amongst them, the ruler's legitimate children, and any other valid claimant. So again, it's a variation on a theme, and you can click through these to see what they actually translate into. So just be aware that if you see on a title that little mark here, that little parchment, there is a special law being applied to that title. Now, if you manage to grab that title, if you manage to gain it, then you can destroy it, providing you have prestige. In fact, we can demonstrate that now by being naughty and saying, I want that title back. So we've got kingdom back now. The Kingdom of England is ours once more, and then we're going to just quickly give ourselves some prestige. So now that we've got a little bit of prestige, we should be able to click on the Kingdom of England, and we should be able to get rid of that law. Say, right, I don't want that anymore. Bye-bye. And now it would go back to behaving the way that we'd expect it to. It's interesting that the kingdom split when we gave that back to ourselves. Not 100% as to why it did that, but let's not worry about that for now. We are kind of using console commands here to get what we want. So hopefully that explains how titles work and how you need to be aware of how title succession laws may have an impact on your succession plans. So next up, what do we need to discuss? I think next up we're going to load our Emperor scenario just to kind of hammer home the point that we were trying to make. So here, I've not bothered adding France. So here you can see the Empire of Alba that we've created. So we are an Emperor. That's our top level title. We've got a Kingdom of Ireland, which would have been our primary title. I mean, the primary title for us now is the Empire title, because it's obviously the bestest title. So you can add laws to this as well if you really want to. So we've got 2 kingdoms and we've got an empire. So just for completeness sake, we still have 3 sons, we still have 3 daughters. I'm just going to kill this character. Goodbye. And you can see what's happened here is we are still the Emperor. We still have the Kingdom of Ireland. We've lost the Kingdom of England. If we click on it, it's gone to Godwinson this time, so a different character in this scenario. But again, still not of our dynasty. But chiefly, whilst it says England, it still says Alba. Remember, it didn't go to someone of our dynasty, but he's not an emperor. We outrank him. So even though he inherited it, our father died, and he was able to attain it because of the title succession law that was on there. We're still an emperor. We still outrank him. He still has to report to us. So again, that's just something to be aware of. Again, the more stuff you actually control yourself, the more you're able to obtain from it. So it's worth being aware of that when it comes to succession as well. If you when you're holding titles, and it's probably easier for me to show this on a smaller scale. If we go back to the Three Sons scenario, when you're concerned with how your succession is going to go, and you're worried that your kingdom's going to split, have a think about which you want to make your primary title. Like I said, you can move your primary title around. If you decide that this territory up here is much better, you should be able to click on it. Click on the title itself. That's actually the duchy. So I mean the earldom, and you should be able to grant it to yourself. He says, and then it won't let me. Why not? Of course, it's obvious why not, because I only have one duchy in this scenario, and I need a title of equal rank to swap. I wouldn't swap a duchy for a county. So if I just actually manufacture that scenario for you, by giving myself some prestige, that should enable me to go and create a title. Or is it gold, actually? Might be gold for titles. Oh, it's not add gold. I could have sworn it would be add gold. Console commands with the ship of Thesis. I think maybe we have to actually specify. There we go. So get rid of that. Right, so if we now decide to select up here and select the duchy, we can create the title. Yes, please. And now I can make it primary. So you can see that is now my primary title. You can move your capital around. So it's currently left it over here. You can select your... You need to select the relevant region, but you can click. You can see this is currently the county capital, but you can move the realm capital. So you click that button there and move. We've now moved our realm capital up to there. You decide that we're going to do a video, I think, on what all of this stuff here means, and you decide that based on how good the counties and the duchies are. But just be mindful for succession that you'll keep the primary, and also that you want to try and keep your, it's going to try and keep your territory together. So you want to spend your gold developing the regions you're going to be keeping long term. As you grow through the game, you won't be controlling, all of the... This is a lot of counties. Like, we're way over our domain limit. You won't be controlling this many counties. Once you become a king, you wouldn't be doing anything as mad as this. If we go back to our emperor file, I think we've got all of these counties here. And we just wouldn't need them. We've got 2 kingdoms and a whole bunch of counties. We'd keep the counties that are directly kind of related to whatever our primary title is, whichever the best one is, frankly. And we'd create duchies beneath us, and let those vassals manage the counts beneath us. That's generally how you start to do that. But we're starting to stray away from succession now, and talk about vassal management and domains, and that's an entirely different series or video indeed. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully that gave you an idea of how succession works. I think we've been through everything. Just to give you a quick recap, just in case you didn't watch the earlier videos, or you just want it summing up. Effectively, your succession law is determined by your crown authority and your technology, which you can check through your innovations here. You need to have the relevant technology types. You can see they move through the ages as well, so primogeniture doesn't come until much later. So be aware you're not going to get those until much later in the game. again, innovations, we're going to have a whole video on that as well, because, you know, this game's massive. We'll have to talk about all of the different concepts, each in their turn. But you need the relevant innovation. You need the relevant crown authority. In order to get crown authority, you're going to have to please your powerful vassals. We'll be talking about those in their own video when we talk about vassals. But you're going to need to do that to be able to raise it. So there are a number of prerequisites to changing your succession law. Be wary of, or be aware of, your gender law, and whether or not you can have a designated heir, although that won't become apparent until you've got absolute crown authority anyway. Be very mindful of title succession laws being applied. They will apply to something after you conquer it. So even if you didn't apply that law yourself, they stay on that title. So be mindful that you need to remove that title if you don't like the effect that it has, and just be aware that there are things that you can do to try and avoid the succession crises that could strike your realm. Basically, always make sure that you have one top level title that's higher than all your other titles. That will keep your realm safe, even if you're under Confederate partition, and always be mindful of in fact, actually, no. We should stop. There is concepts that we haven't considered. How are we doing on the video? We are already 16 minutes in, and we haven't discussed high partition or partition. So, I am going to do one final video about this, I think, and we'll talk about the difference between Confederate partition and the last two partition types, and then we'll have wrapped up this little mini series. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Hope it's been informative. Hope these little summaries as well at the end of it have been helping it make sense to you, and I will see you guys next time.